thoughts on upcoming ballot initiatives such as legalizing marijuana?
Well, on Proposition 19, it was refused, so I guess I'm refusing it. And if it becomes a community need, then I'll go medical. That's all I can say about it right now.
I bet.
Specifically the marijuana issue, when we have federal laws that say it's illegal, and then voters put in one in California that says that you can get a medical card. And we had a facility that was operating out just by seasons over there. And the problem is that whole environment brings a lot of crime, and folks, they did a raid on the people that owned that, and there were guns and money, and it's just it's not something that the city needs to have to promote that in our communities. And the system, if there is a medical marijuana situation, it needs to be managed by the same system that manages other things. Like my brother's a pharmacist. Why isn't that done through a pharmacy so that there's the controls and safety issues that are there? So I don't think it's a thing for Modesto for us to legalize marijuana here, because I don't think it's proper.
Thank you. Candidate Marsh?
Thank you. We, as Councilmember Hahn mentioned, we voted to close the dispensary over off McHenry. We did that because it violated federal law, and basically the city's position is when we will support federal law and state law, and when they're in disagreement, we'll take the most restrictive one. I will not support opening medical marijuana dispensary until it's allowed by the feds. So if you want it, you need to change federal law. You need to make it where you can go into Walgreens and get a prescription. When you get that, we're not going to have a problem. Otherwise, my answer is no.
Thank you.
Part of the challenge is there are those that in later stages of cancer primarily that do find some relief with medical marijuana. I understand that, and also there are those that utilize it for their own personal recreation, and that's a completely different situation. For medical uses, I would agree with what Brad stated. Is why is that opportunity not existing through our current medical system in order to prevent the abuse of the system? Because if we allow the abuse to continue, pretty soon we are going to have a stronger drug culture growing within our community. Just think about some of the challenges that happened during Prohibition when they outlawed drinking. So for those of you that party, I'm sorry, I'm a little bit old-fashioned, but I agree with those that have said federal law prevents it, and there's nothing that can be done about it. For those that have a medical situation with cancer, I certainly understand, and there are communities that you can go to and find that relief. And I only wish our medical society would step up and fill the gap a little more fully.
Candidate Hahn, do you see it as a conflict of interest that Grover Landscaping has a contract with the city to maintain parks, since Mr. Grover is on council?
There is no conflict because it's Jeff Grover's on this board of supervisors. He's no longer on the board of supervisors. So, and Mr. Grover is a relative of his, but he's not on the city council. Had he been, he should have recused himself and not done that. So I guess if the question was accurate, but the answer would be yes, he should have. There is a conflict and he should recuse himself. But by the way, they're doing a great job in our park. So.
Thank you. Back when we originally gave that contract to Grover, Jeff Grover was a supervisor, but he was not on the council, so he had no influence and no impact on that decision, so I think it was totally correct. I, by the way, was the only person on the original contract to vote against it. And I voted against it not because of my confidence in the ability Grover could do, but they were the only bidder. And I really was concerned that the bid process was poor when we only had one group bidding for that. Their contract came up for renewal this last year, and I publicly said that I was wrong. I was wrong for voting no, because they have done a fabulous job. They've done everything they could to reduce costs for us. This new contract was exceedingly good for the city, and I publicly basically apologized for voting no the first time. And they have saved us millions of dollars in the process of taking over our landscaping for the parks and medians. By the way, their supervisor just put a March for Modesto, March for Mayor sign up in his yard this last week. So I think he accepted that apology from me.
I can't let that one go. Well, since he put a sign up of yours, I think he's doing a horrible job. I'm kidding. Actually, they are doing a good job. And when I become mayor, they'll be putting my sign up, I'm sure, out front too. So, and what's been stated is absolutely correct. Jeff Grover is on the Board of Supervisors. He had no conflict with city business because he was on the county, in the county. And the Grovers have proved themselves to do a good job, but the bidding process needs to continue as a process of competition to encourage other small business owners to inject into that opportunity and become part of success in our community also.
Thank you. Candidate Ariel?
Just saying thanks to the Grovers and on their job well done, basically.
Thanks.
Thank you. Candidate Marsh, this is our last question. Modesto has a large prostitution problem on 9th Street. What do you plan to do to solve this problem? Modesto has a large prostitution problem on 9th Street. What do you plan to do to solve this problem?
We needed more enforcement. That really goes back to the number of police that we have available for patrol. We made some unfortunate huge cuts in our police force over the years to keep a balanced budget, and we have kept a balanced budget. Our goal has always been to keep 100 officers on patrol, and even though that was our goal, we are not at that level today. We're close. I'm not sure the number currently, but it's probably about 97. But when our officers are so strained, so many different avenues that they have to work on, part of the prostitution things are in county areas. You know, if it's below the river, that's the county and not the city. Most of that is in the county that you're talking about, and that's sheriff department. It's cross jurisdiction, that becomes more of a problem. It's not something and both groups need to work together. We have worked with the county extremely well. We've combined a lot of different resources. We have a joint task force on gang. We have a joint task force on drug enforcement, auto theft. You know, we do a lot together, but prostitution's not one of them. So unfortunately, it just takes effort. I talked to the police chief today about some problems that we have in another area, not South 9th Street, and I think that we're going to step up our patrol, even though that area that I'm talking about is also in the county. It borders on the city, and I think that we can take some steps to help correct that, and I've encouraged the police chief to do just that.
Thank you. Candidate Salaki?
Well, not only prostitution.